The courtroom carried a gentle hush, the kind that settles before something interesting happens. Judge Frank Caprio leaned forward, adjusting the file in front of him before lifting his gaze to the young woman standing at the podium. "Irons Keskin," he said, his voice steady but warm, resonating across the room. "You have a red light violation at Dudley Street and Eddy Street. And I see here you're a student at Roger Williams University, studying engineering and mathematics." Irons nodded with a calm confidence. "Yes, Your Honor." The judge's eyebrows rose slightly, a flicker of amusement brightening his expression. "Engineering and mathematics," he repeated. "That's impressive. Tell me, did you calculate the exact speed needed to beat that red light? Or was that just instinct?" The gallery rippled with laughter. Inspector Quinn, leaning near the clerk's desk, grinned and shook his head. He already knew this was going to be a memorable one. And if you're watching this unfold right now, wherever you are, drop a comment and tell us where you're tuning in from. Don't forget to subscribe to Order in the Court, because what happens next is exactly why Judge Caprio remains a legend. It was Monday morning, 9:40 a.m., in Providence Municipal Court. The case that would come to be known as "A Student Tries to Outsmart Judge Caprio. His Reaction is Priceless" was about to begin. Judge Caprio settled back comfortably, observing Irons with the gentle curiosity he saved for people who genuinely intrigued him. "Roger Williams," he said thoughtfully. "Good school. How are your grades?" "Very good, Your Honor. I'm maintaining a 3.9 GPA. 3.9? He repeated, nodding with real approval. "That's outstanding. Engineering and mathematics, those aren't exactly easy subjects. What made you choose that path?" Some of the tension eased from Irons' posture as she replied. "I've always loved problem solving. Numbers make sense to me. There's always a logical answer if you work through it carefully enough." "A logical answer?" Judge Caprio echoed, amused. "I like that. We could use more logical answers in the world." He paused, turning to Inspector Quinn. "Inspector, did you take any math classes in college?" Quinn straightened theatrically. "I took a statistics course once, Your Honor. Nearly broke me." "Statistics?" Caprio said with exaggerated sympathy. "That'll do it." Meanwhile, Irons here is doing calculus, differential equations, probably things we can't even pronounce, and she's doing it all with a 3.9 average. He turned back to Irons. "Do you work? Or are you able to focus fully on school?" "Entirely on school?" Irons nodded. "I tutor other students 3 evenings a week, mostly freshmen struggling with math. It helps pay for books and supplies." The judge's expression softened, the warmth behind his eyes unmistakable. "So you're working, studying at a high level and helping others succeed," he said. "That tells me a lot about your character." He let that settle for a moment before leaning forward, shifting into the part of the case that had brought her here in the first place. "Which makes me even more curious about this red light. Tell me what happened." Inspector Quinn stepped forward with the department tablet in hand. "Your Honor, we have the dashcam footage from the patrol vehicle. Would you like to review it? Let's take a look." All eyes turned to the monitor on the wall. The footage flickered to life, a grainy recording of a quiet urban intersection at 2:07 a.m. A silver sedan eased toward the light, slowed, then rolled through a right turn without fully stopping. The patrol unit waiting on the cross street lit up its blues immediately. Judge Caprio watched it twice, silent, steady. This was his signature, never jumping to conclusions, always studying the details with the patience of someone who believed fairness started with understanding. He weighed circumstances, not just statutes. People, not just infractions. "So," he began, "it's 2 in the morning. Empty streets. You're making a right turn. Did you come to a complete stop before turning?" Irons hesitated. An honest, human pause where the whole room could practically see her sorting through the truth. "I slowed down a lot, Your Honor. I checked for traffic, and there was none. I believed I had stopped. But watching the video, I can see now it wasn't a full stop." "Honest answer," the judge said, nodding. "I appreciate that. But the law is very clear about red lights. Even when turning right, you must come to a complete stop before proceeding." "Understand." Yes, Your Honor. I do now. Inspector Quinn cleared his throat, stepping in with the procedural side of things. Your Honor. The defendant entered the intersection while the light was fully red. The turn was made without a complete stop, which constitutes a violation regardless of traffic or time of day. Thank you, Inspector. The judge's tone stayed patient, thoughtful. I'm just trying to understand the context. He turned back to Irons. Why were you out at 2 a.m. on a Monday? I was coming back from the library. I have an exam this week in thermodynamics, and I tend to lose track of time when I'm studying. The library closes at 2, so I was heading back to campus. The judge nodded slowly, as if remembering his own late-night study marathons decades before. Thermodynamics at 2 in the morning, he murmured. I remember those days. He glanced at Inspector Quinn. Did you ever study that hard, Inspector? Quinn smirked. I took easier classes, Your Honor. The gallery chuckled. Intersection. Your brain didn't switch into driver mode. It stayed in engineer mode. You analyzed the road like it was a lab assignment, not a traffic law. The gallery chuckled again. The tension in the room had evaporated, replaced with a kind of shared amusement that only Judge Caprio could orchestrate. Even Irons cracked a wider smile, her shoulders loosening. Judge Caprio leaned forward, tapping a finger lightly on the bench. But here's the thing, Irons. The road is not a classroom. The intersection is not an experiment. And your car, well, your car isn't a physics demonstration. Out there, common sense matters just as much as calculus. Maybe more. Irons nodded, chastened but still smiling. You're right, Your Honor. Now, he continued, slipping into the tone that lived somewhere between mentor and magistrate. Let me ask you something else. You calculated efficiency. You accounted for momentum. You considered slope. Did you consider what might have happened if someone else had been there? A pedestrian? Another car? A cyclist? Irons' face softened, the smile fading into something more thoughtful. No, Your Honor, I didn't, and I should have. That, the judge said, is the calculation that matters. He let the words hang in the air, just long enough for them to land, but not long enough to feel heavy. It was classic Caprio. Accountability folded neatly inside kindness. Finally, he sat back, folding his hands. All right, here's where I'm landing on this. You clearly didn't mean any harm. You weren't reckless. You made a poor judgment call at an hour when most students are either sleeping or making questionable snack decisions. The gallery laughed again. You're bright, you're hardworking, and you've owned your mistake. So I'm going to resolve this in a way that, I hope, you'll remember every time you roll up to a light, day or night. Irons straightened, ready for whatever came next. I'm dismissing the violation, the judge said, but I'm issuing a warning. One that comes from decades of watching good people make preventable mistakes. Do your calculations in the library. On the road, keep it simple. Red means stop. Irons exhaled, relief washing over her face. Thank you, Your Honor. He nodded, offering a warm smile. Go ace that thermodynamics exam. Even Inspector Quinn chimed in. And maybe get some sleep first. Laughter rippled through the room one last time. Case closed. Lesson delivered. Another morning in Judge Caprio's courtroom where the law met logic, and a young engineer learned the value of grounding her equations in everyday common sense. The gallery began to settle as the applause faded, leaving behind a soft hum of warmth that filled the room like sunlight through old courthouse windows. Judge Caprio waited a beat, letting the moment breathe before he lifted his gaze back to Irons. His eyes, kind but steady, carried the weight of someone who had spent a lifetime choosing compassion without compromising the law. Before you go, he said, his tone gentler now, I want you to remember something. Mistakes don't cancel out who you are. They reveal where you're headed, if you're paying attention. Irons nodded, hanging on to every word. You're headed somewhere good, he continued. Some students sleepwalk through life. You're wide awake, learning, helping, building. Just don't let your bright mind outrun your common sense. That's all. Even Inspector Quinn couldn't resist chiming in. She's already smarter than both of us put together, Judge. The courtroom laughed, and for a brief second, the tension of responsibility lifted from Iron's shoulders entirely. She wasn't just a defendant anymore. She was a student being encouraged, a young woman being believed in, a future engineer being nudged toward wisdom. Judge Caprio leaned back, the softest smile settling on his face. Case dismissed. Good luck on your thermodynamics exam. And remember, red means stop, not solve. Irons breathed out a shaky laugh, her relief almost visible. Thank you, Your Honor. Truly. She gathered her bag, stepping back from the podium with renewed confidence. The kind that didn't come from escaping a fine, but from being seen, fully, fairly, compassionately. As she walked toward the exit, a few people in the gallery offered quiet nods of respect. A man in the second row whispered, "She'll go far." A woman near the back murmured, "Caprio did it again." Up at the bench, the judge closed the file with a soft thud. Another case finished. Another life nudged gently back onto the right path. He slid the folder toward the clerk and exhaled, almost to himself. Next case. But for those watching, inside the courtroom or through a screen, the lesson lingered long after Irons left the room. The law tells you what happened. Humanity explains why. And somewhere in the middle, justice finds its shape. As Irons reached the door, Judge Caprio's voice rose one more time, warm and unmistakably paternal. "And Irons." She stopped mid-step, turning with a curious smile. "Engineers need rest." The room broke into gentle laughter. Irons shook her head with the kind of grin only relief can bring, nodded once in gratitude, and walked out of the courthouse with her shoulders back and her future still bright. It was a small exchange, but it captured everything that made Judge Frank Caprio extraordinary. He didn't just interpret the law, he humanized it. He brought wisdom without harshness, humor without belittling, and compassion without compromising responsibility. He understood something many courts forget. Justice isn't just about punishment, it's about people. Irons had rolled through a red light, yes. She made a mistake, but she also told the truth. She worked hard. She helped others. She lived with integrity. And in Caprio's courtroom, character mattered just as much as code. So here's the question for you. Should straight-A students, dedicated workers, or people who uplift others get leniency when they make minor mistakes? Should effort, honesty, and community contribution count when a judge weighs a simple traffic violation? Tell us what you think in the comments, and let us know where you're watching from. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to Order in the Court for more moments where the law meets humanity, where lessons unfold between laughs, and where a courtroom becomes not just a place of judgment, but a place of understanding. Because the real story here isn't the ticket. It's the reminder that behind every case number is a human being. And every human being deserves to be seen. Dramatization for storytelling and education, not legal advice or reporting.